Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to be diving into a deeply moving message titled, The Father Who Never Leaves. And right out of the gate, I just want to acknowledge those of you watching who might be feeling, well, completely shattered right now. The concepts we're exploring today from this source material are meant for that exact moment in life. You know, when you feel like absolutely nobody understands what you're going through. We're going to trace a journey from that intense place of darkness and isolation straight into a place of profound light and hope.
So the text we're analyzing starts by posing a pretty heavy question. Have you ever felt completely alone in this world? It speaks directly to that very specific, silent kind of pain. It describes that experience of crying at night when absolutely nobody knows what you're dealing with. It's that deep, profound isolation where you feel utterly misunderstood by everyone around you. If you're nodding your head yes to that right now, the message we're unpacking today was written specifically to address that very feeling.
And this brings us to a really painful modern paradox that the source highlights. Think about it. You look at your phone, right? You've got hundreds of contacts, maybe even thousands of followers online. But when it's 2 a.m. and you are just crying from exhaustion or betrayal or a totally shattered dream, who do you actually call? You suddenly realize that nobody is really there. It's an incredibly agitating realization, and it perfectly defines what hitting rock bottom in human loneliness really feels like.
Now, to really understand the solution offered here, the text says we first need to define the problem. Brokenness isn't just being sad. It's defined as an exhausting state of being. It's when someone betrays you, a relationship completely breaks apart, or a dream just shatters into pieces. It's that feeling of being just completely tired. Tired of trying, tired of fighting, tired of absolutely the whole shebang. If this kind of deep emotional exhaustion sounds familiar, you are exactly where this message begins. To counter that intense, heavy feeling of brokenness, the text introduces a core biblical promise from Isaiah 49:15. It points out that a mother's love is arguably the absolute strongest, most instinctual human bond on earth. Yet, the verse asks, could a mother forget her baby? It acknowledges that, humanly speaking, though incredibly rare, it could technically happen. But then comes this massive divine guarantee, I will not forget you. It contrasts the strongest human bond we know with an even more powerful, infallible divine promise.
And this beautifully illustrates a core difference, human limitation versus God's absolute commitment. The message here is that even if the person who is supposed to love you the absolute most in this world walks away or fails you, God's commitment remains completely unbroken. His love is presented as actually stronger than the fiercest human love. It's a guarantee that even when the rest of the world walks away, you are literally never forgotten.
To really prove the sheer magnitude of this love, the text turns to John 3:16, probably the most famous verse in the Bible. Consider this unimaginable scenario for a second. Would you give up your own child to die for someone who doesn't even care about you? It's unthinkable, right? No human would ever do that. But according to the text, this is exactly what God did. That is the immense, unconditional sacrifice the Heavenly Father made, proving exactly how much He loves you personally. To ground these big concepts in reality, the source shares a deeply emotional narrative of a young man who systematically lost absolutely everything. First, his job was gone. Then, boom, his relationship ended. Next, his money was gone. And finally, as he looked in the mirror and didn't even recognize himself anymore, his confidence was completely destroyed. He had hit absolute rock bottom, sitting totally alone in a dark room with an empty bank account and 0 messages on his phone.
In total desperation, he drops to his knees. And here's the crucial part. He doesn't deliver a long speech or some fancy theological prayer. He just utters 3 simple words. God, help me. The text makes a powerful point here. Hitting rock bottom doesn't require complex theology to escape. It really only requires a genuine plea for intervention. It's this incredibly powerful moment of total surrender.
Now, you might be wondering, did everything just instantly fix itself? Well, the text is clear that the restoration wasn't instant magic. It didn't just happen overnight. Instead, it was a structured, step-by-step rebuilding process. Slowly, new doors opened. Then, new people arrived in his life. Finally, a completely new strength rose up inside him. This man now views losing everything as the best thing that ever happened to him, because it led him to find God. His worst chapter literally became his greatest testimony.
Here is where the message pivots entirely. The core truth being presented is that you are not a mistake, and you are never too far gone. Psalm 34:18 explicitly states that God is close to the brokenhearted. When you are crushed in spirit, He doesn't distance Himself. He draws intimately close to you. The key takeaway is that he does not run away from broken people.
To really visualize this, the text points to the famous story of the prodigal son. You have the broken son who left home, wasted absolutely everything he had, and hit absolute rock bottom. But on the other side, you have the loving father. And notice, the father wasn't waiting angrily with his arms crossed. He was watching and waiting every single day. And when he saw his broken son from a long way off, what did he do? He ran straight toward him.
The message assures us that just like the father in that parable, your heavenly Father sees you right now. He knows your name, he knows your pain, and he is actively running towards you. The text wants you to be assured with absolute certainty that God is watching the road, waiting for you, and moving toward your brokenness right this very second.
Because of this, the source material offers a specific, gentle prayer for restoration. It's essentially a simple invitation, asking God to come into your heart, to heal what is broken inside you, to restore what has been taken from you, and to give you strength and faith when you just cannot see the way forward. It's a moment of putting trust in the belief that God is working, even right now, right in the very middle of the pain. So as we wrap up our exploration of this text today, we are left with 3 unshakable reminders from the source. Number 1, you are loved by the God who created the entire universe. Number 2, you are not alone. Even in your absolute darkest night, He is right there with you. And number 3, this is not the end. God is not finished with your story yet.
So, I want to leave you with a lingering question to really think about. Will you open the door to healing today? The message we've explored shows that a father who never leaves is simply waiting for you to ask for help. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep exploring, keep learning, and remember, what feels like a breakdown could just be the setup for your greatest breakthrough.